This video is going to discuss seventh chords in root position. Seventh chords are four-note chords. They are essentially a triad which you stack an additional third on top of, and that extra note is a seventh above the root. So here we have a seventh chord, 1, 3, 5, and then 7 on top. There are 5 types of diatonic seventh chords. Remember that the definition of diatonic is those chords which can be built based on scale tones. It is possible to build other kinds of seventh chords, but these are the ones that we're going to be concerning ourselves with, and these are the ones that are most commonly used. They are identified by the quality of the triad and the quality of the seventh. So these 5 types of chords are major major, major triad and a major seventh, major minor, a major triad and a minor seventh, minor minor, minor triad and minor seventh, diminished minor, which is a diminished triad and a minor seventh, and diminished diminished, which is both diminished triad and a diminished seventh. Start with a major major seventh chord. A major triad, so we have C major, whoops, that's not C major. So we have C major triad and a major seventh. If you put those together, so here we have a major major seventh chord. This type of seventh chord is commonly called just simply a major seventh, and when you are labeling these on your homework, you can either label it as major major, and this is the most important concept to get to. This first letter in the label stands for what is the quality of the triad. The second letter in the label stands for what is the quality of the seventh. So major, this is the first major, this is the second major. If that comes easily to you, it is also commonly called just the major seventh. So this seventh chord could be labeled a C major seventh, and I leave that up to you which way you want to go. If you find this confusing, don't even go there for right now. This is the important concept to grasp. Second type of diatonic seventh chord is the major minor. And a major minor is a major triad with a minor seventh added on top. So that is going to sound like this. There's again our major triad. Let's get the cursor out of the way. There's the minor seventh, and there's our major minor seventh chord. The major minor seventh chord is commonly called the dominant seventh, and as we'll see later in this discussion, the dominant seventh is built upon the dominant, in particular on the major scale, and we have to change the minor scale to make it a proper dominant seventh. Again, as you're working on it, major for the major triad, minor for the minor triad, this would be labeled just C7. So C, if you have a major major, you have to label it C major 7. The dominant 7 or the major minor is labeled just C7. Again, this is the mandatory concept. If you want to go here, that's just fine. The third diatonic seventh chord is the minor minor. Minor triad, minor seventh. So here's our minor triad. Here's our minor seventh. Put them together. A minor minor seventh chord. Common name for a minor minor seventh chord is simply a minor seventh. Labeling would be small m, lowercase m for the minor triad, lowercase m for the minor seventh, or C minor 7 for this triad. Our next type is the diminished minor seventh, and as you might guess, it is a diminished triad with an added minor 7th. So here is the diminished triad. Here is the minor 7th again. This minor 7th gets a lot of use. It's diminished minor 7th chord. Common name for the diminished minor 7th is half diminished 7th. And when you're labeling it, here's the symbol for the half diminished. It's the diminished circle with a slash through it. Notice also in this 7th chord there are lots of flats. They're offset, and this makes it much easier to read. You don't want to just put each flat, or sharp for that matter, right directly above, so that you either have to make them really small or you have to overlap. So the proper way to be doing this is to offset so that you can clearly see what flats are. So the chord labeling: diminished for the triad, minor for the 7, or C half diminished 7. And the final type of diatonic 7th chord is the diminished. We have diminished triad and a diminished 7. There's our diminished triad again, and our diminished 7. And if that is all put together, diminished 7th chord, which is commonly called just simply a diminished 7th chord, or sometimes it's called a fully diminished 7th chord. Labeled diminished, or D for the triad, diminished for the 7, or C diminished 7. As with triads, 7th chords can be built diatonically on top of scale degrees using only the notes in the scale. And again, as with the triads, the resulting patterns of these chord qualities will remain the same from one scale to the next. So the pattern that you get in a C major scale is exactly the same as the pattern that you will get in a D flat major scale, etc. The diatonic 7th chords, which are built on a major scale, will always result in the following chord qualities. So you build on the tonic, you get major major. Supertonic, minor minor. Mediant is minor minor. Subdominant is major major. Build on the dominant, you get the dominant 7. That's where the dominant 7 actually gets its name. Submediant is minor minor. Leading tone is diminished minor. And then we're back to the tonic again. When you are writing Roman numerals, it is fine just to have the quality reflected in the Roman. You don't have to put 1 major major. Just a 1-7 is fine. The 2-7 is fine. And here written in common: C major 7, a D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, A minor 7, B half diminished 7, and C major 7 again. The diatonic 7th chords, which are built on the natural minor scale, will again always result in the same set of qualities. However, the dominant and subtonic chords are very seldom used. So tonic is minor minor, and diminished minor for the 2, 3 is major major, 4 minor minor, 5 is a minor minor, 6 major major, 7 major minor, and back home again. The reason for not using these two 7th chords is the same reason in the dominant that we don't use the minor quality dominant, is that it just doesn't function well as a dominant. And in the case of the 7 chord, of this subtonic chord, this is a major minor, a dominant 7, and dominant 7 has a very specific function, so that it would be confusing to have that happening on a 7th chord. There are instances in modulating from one key to the next where this might be useful, but for the most part These are not used in common practice, and for our purposes these will not be used at all this semester. The diatonic seventh chords, which are built on the harmonic minor scale, will again result in the same quality of chords. And here the mediant chord is not used really at all, and I'm not even giving you options here. Minor minor, diminished minor, half diminished for the 2, skipping over 3, subdominant is a minor 7th. We've made the alteration for harmonic minor, so we have a proper dominant 7th here, major major. Again, the harmonic minor raised 7th now gives us a fully diminished 7, and back to minor 7. So the most commonly used diatonic seventh chords are actually derived from a combination of natural minor and harmonic minor scale chords, and these are the ones that we will be using. So when you're writing seventh chords based in a minor key, you no longer have to think directly, is it natural minor or is it harmonic minor, because this is a composite. As with all, the tonic will be a minor 7. The supertonic will be a half diminished 7. We're going to use the major major or the major 7 on the mediant. Subdominant will be a minor 7. We will always use the dominant 7 on the dominant, which means that you need to always remember to raise the 3rd in this chord. 6 is a major 7. 7 is, again, this one you have to put action in. When you write a 7 diminished, it needs to be a fully diminished, and you need to raise the root.